Cheers to you, Kevin. Got me some Tang Tito's. Figured tonight, while I'm enjoying some Tang Tito's from Noodles, do a little story time, kind of reminiscent of time when I was younger, obviously, in elementary school. I was talking to some coworkers about kids that I grew up with, and I've got other stories of kids that I grew up with, and one of my viewers requested some more story time, so I figured for you, let's get on with it. The story's about this kid named Eddie, and we called him Eddie Spaghetti. And it's kind of one of those, back in my day, kids these days, they don't know the struggles. We had to walk to school and home from school every day, and I looked on Google Earth, and it wasn't that far, but it was about a 20-minute walk for an elementary age kid. And at dismissal time, groups of us, 5, 8, 9 kids, would all start heading home, and we all pretty much lived in the same neighborhood. In the front of the school, we'd have to cross the street. A group of us would go left, group of us would go right, and kind of disperse in the neighborhood. And we'd walk home, and sometimes we'd be the first kids out of school, sometimes we'd be in the middle, sometimes we'd be the last. But one particular time I remember with Eddie Spaghetti, it was, I think, like 3 of us, 3 or 4, or maybe 4 kids walking home, and I don't recall the conversation, but we were just being kids, talking about stupid stuff, cartoons, what we did this weekend, some toys we got, and for some reason, Eddie Spaghetti and I got into an argument. Eddie was a Hispanic kid, and of course, I was not Caucasian, and so we were kind of throwing insults back to each other. And he called me names, and of course, I think the only name I could really get out was Eddie Spaghetti. And Eddie also was a chubby kid. If I had to describe Eddie, and I'll move. Anyway, if I had to describe Eddie, his physique would remind me of the droid BB-8. No disrespect to Eddie, but that's what Eddie reminded me of. He had a little head, or a big head, a little neck, and a round body. And his face kind of reminded me of the young Spanky from our gang, from Little Rascals. But anyway, Eddie Spaghetti and I got into a fight, and we were, just going at it with fists, rolling around on the ground, and I remember some man pulled over on the side of the road and broke us apart, and basically just said, "You kids, stop it." And that was the way it was back then. We had arguments, we'd fight right there wherever we were. Adults would or wouldn't care. Apparently this one adult cared and pulled over, broke us up. That is good. Anyway, so this man broke us up. We're crying, we're snotting, I hate you, you're a mean something or other. Whatever kids back then did. And so And then a couple of our friends were walking with us. Oh, you kicked his butt. You got him. Yeah, you're the man. And so that was the end of that, and we moved on. Well, I think it might have been a couple of days or a couple of weeks later. We're walking to school or walking home from school, and we just started talking to each other. I think Eddie was in my class at school, so of course we had to maintain in school. And I don't recall the fight lingering for some reason. I don't remember us having any animosity or any grudges. We just got it out of our system, and we're took to the fists and got it out. And here's where the story gets interesting. A couple of weeks later, like I said, after the fight, I think that's when we started to become really good friends. And Eddie and I think from that point on, would walk to school and home every day for the rest of elementary school, because he lived down the street from me. As you get down the main road, I'd take a right to my house, and his house was like the second house in from the street. So I'd get up in the morning, I'd walk to the main street, go to his house, knock on his door. His mom would let me in. I'd wait in this little waiting area at his house, and we'd walk to school. And it's funny. One minute we're beating the snot out of each other, and the next minute we're best friends. And it's funny how that works. I think that's happened to one other kid that I got into fights with. I think his name was Martin, and he lived down the street from me, but that's another story. But anyway, me and Eddie Spagetti got to be good friends, and the thing I wanted to note too that kind of stuck out in my memory was I remember waiting in the living room of his house, and his dad had a picture, or they had a picture of his dad, and his dad was apparently like an Army Airborne soldier, because he had the helmet, chin strap, and he had a picture. Apparently it was a jump school picture, and he had the reserve chute thing in front, and he had the backpack or the parachute pack, and it always kind of stuck in my mind, that picture. It's a black and white picture, and what's even funnier is that when we were arguing, when Eddie and I were arguing, he was calling me names, and based on my first name. And it's funny because his dad has the same first name as me. So funny how the world works. But anyway, Eddie and I lost touch after elementary school. We went to middle school. I don't know if he went to a different middle school. I don't know if he went to private school. It's funny, your mind forgets things, and I don't remember whatever happened to Eddie, but I did. I think I was I joined the Navy years later after I graduated. Joined the Navy, came back home, and I went over to Eddie's house. Maybe hoping maybe his parents would know where he was at. Knocked on the door, and I think his mother answered the door, and I say, "Hey, I'm Eddie's friend," and she went, "Oh yeah, I remember you." And I said, "Do you have Eddie's contact? Do you know where Eddie is right now?" And she says, "Oh yeah, he lives here. Eddie still lives here with us. He works at this company. He won't be home till late. You can come by tomorrow." And I think I had to. It was like my last day of leave, so I never got in touch with Eddie again. But that was probably the closest I got to getting back in touch with Eddie. I might look for him, look him up on Facebook. But anyway, point of the story is you never know who you're going to make friends with, or who's going to become friends with you based on what's happening today or tomorrow. Life is short, so I don't know. It's just interesting what memories stick in your mind. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the story. Cheers to you, and cheers, Kevin. And thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.